My name is Emily, and I've been married to John for 5 years. We've been together for almost 8 years, sharing a lot of good memories and challenging moments along the way. John is 33, and I'm 31. For most of my adult life, I've battled severe depression. It's not the kind of sadness that comes and goes, it's a weight that sits on my chest, dragging me down, making even the simplest tasks feel impossible. This struggle has shaped so much of who I am and how I live my life. I haven't worked a full-time job since 2015. In fact, I stopped working altogether in 2019. At first, I told myself it was temporary, that I'd figure it out and get back on track soon. But as time passed, my depression deepened, and returning to work felt less and less possible. I've tried everything I could think of to feel better, different therapists, various medications, but nothing has made a significant difference. Some treatments would help for a while, giving me a small glimmer of hope, but then the darkness would return, leaving me feeling more hopeless than before. Over the years, my self-esteem has crumbled. I used to be more confident, outgoing, and full of dreams. But now, I feel like a shadow of the person I once was. I don't even recognize myself sometimes. I've withdrawn from almost everyone in my life. My friends drifted away, and I've distanced myself from my family. It's not that they don't care about me, they do, but I feel like such a disappointment to them. It's easier to pull away than to face their questions or their pity. These days, the only person I really talk to is John. He's been my rock through everything. He's seen me at my worst and has stayed by my side, offering his love and support when I felt like I didn't deserve it. For the past couple of years, John has been my entire world, my husband, my confidant, my only friend. I know how lucky I am to have him, but it's also a lot of pressure for one person to bear. John, in many ways, is the opposite of me. He's incredibly intelligent and level-headed, and he has a steady job that allows us to live comfortably. He works hard and provides for both of us, which is something I'm deeply grateful for. We don't have kids yet, but we've talked about the possibility of starting a family one day. Right now, though, it feels like we're in two very different places in life. John is a very private person. He's not the type to go out and socialize much, he prefers the comfort of home. He doesn't have a big circle of friends, and he's content with the quiet life we've built together. In a way, I think that's why we've worked as a couple for so long. We both value our privacy and don't need a lot of outside interaction to feel fulfilled. At least, that's how it used to be. But over time, I've started to realize just how isolating my life has become. I used to think that as long as I had John, I didn't need anyone else. But now, I see that putting all my emotional needs on one person isn't fair, to him or to me. It's not that John has ever made me feel like a burden. If anything, he goes out of his way to reassure me that he's happy to support me. Still, I can't help but feel like I'm holding him back. I spend most of my days at home, trying to keep up with household chores and take care of the things that need to be done. Some days, I can manage a decent routine, cooking, cleaning, maybe even going for a short walk. But other days, I feel completely paralyzed by my depression. On those days, I can't bring myself to do anything. I'll stay in bed for hours, staring at the ceiling, feeling like a failure. John has always tried to motivate me to push through these feelings. He believes in the power of discipline and routine, and he's always encouraged me to set goals and work towards them, even if it's just a little at a time. But as much as I appreciate his efforts, I often feel like I'm letting him down. I know he wants more for us, for me. He dreams of buying a house, starting a family, and building a life that feels stable and secure. I want those things too, but right now, they feel so far out of reach. Despite everything, John remains patient and understanding. He's never pressured me to be someone I'm not, but I can tell he gets frustrated sometimes. And honestly, I don't blame him. I get frustrated with myself too. I wish I could snap out of it, find a job, reconnect with old friends, and start contributing to our life in a meaningful way. But the truth is, I don't even know where to start. In many ways, John has become my safety net. He's the one person I can count on, the one person who truly knows me. But lately, I've started to wonder if that's enough. Can one person really be your whole world? And if not, where do I go from here? John has always had the best intentions when it comes to helping me, but over the past couple of years, his approach has shifted significantly. It's as if he's taken on a parental role, which has introduced a dynamic into our relationship that I never expected. He's created a structured system for me to follow, one where I have to map out my daily activities in detail. Each evening, I'm required to write down what I plan to accomplish the next day, things like household chores, cooking meals, exercising, or running errands. Once I've completed the list, John reviews it and either approves or suggests adjustments. The schedule isn't just a guideline, it's a commitment. If I don't complete the tasks I've outlined, there are clear consequences. Sometimes he'll confiscate my phone or tablet, cutting me off from the little bit of online escapism that brings me comfort. On harsher days, he'll even lock up my pet bunny, which feels like an especially cruel punishment because my bunny is one of the few things that brings me joy. It's not just about withholding privileges, the consequences are designed to drive home the point that failing to stick to my schedule is unacceptable. John justifies this system by saying it's about accountability. In his eyes, if I don't complete the things I've planned, it's a conscious decision on my part to neglect my responsibilities. And if I'm choosing not to follow through, then I'm also choosing the consequences that come with that choice. It's a logic I can't completely dispute, but it doesn't sit right with me either. I've tried to explain that my struggles with depression make it hard to keep up with even basic tasks, let alone a full schedule. But John doesn't see it that way. To him, it's about pushing through, about building habits and routines that will eventually make things easier. I understand where he's coming from, he's trying to help in the only way he knows how. But this approach has created a power imbalance in our marriage that makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to feel like a child who needs to be disciplined or micromanaged. At the same time, I haven't had the strength or energy to push back against this system. Arguing with John feels like an uphill battle I'm destined to lose. Part of the problem is that John is incredibly articulate and logical, while I often feel overwhelmed and scattered. English isn't my first language, and while I'm fluent, I sometimes struggle to find the right words to express myself. John, on the other hand, is a native speaker and has a way of breaking down arguments so that his point of view seems irrefutable. He's also much more confident and self-assured than I am, which makes it even harder for me to stand my ground. I've noticed that whenever I try to object or explain my feelings, the discussion quickly turns into a debate that leaves me feeling small and defeated. It's not that John is intentionally trying to overpower me, at least, I don't think so. He genuinely believes he's helping me by holding me accountable and encouraging me to be more disciplined. But the way he goes about it feels controlling, and it's hard for me to reconcile his good intentions with how it makes me feel. Over time, I've stopped resisting as much. It's easier to go along with his system than to argue about it. I've learned that pushing back only leads to harsher punishments or longer debates that drain what little energy I have left. So I've started to comply, even when it feels demeaning, because it's the path of least resistance. Still, deep down, I can't shake the feeling that this dynamic isn't healthy. I know John loves me and wants the best for me, but I also know that the way we're handling things isn't sustainable. I feel like I'm losing more and more of my independence, and I'm not sure how to find my way back to a place where I can stand on my own 2 feet. This summer, I discovered something unexpected that brought a spark of joy back into my life. I started watching table tennis matches online and quickly became captivated by the sport. It wasn't just about the games, it was about the sense of connection I found through them. I joined a fan community on a social platform, where I met other enthusiasts who shared my newfound passion. For the first time in years, I felt like I belonged somewhere. I even created a fan page for one of my favorite players, pouring my energy into editing videos and sharing posts. The best part was the friendships I formed. These weren't just casual acquaintances, they were meaningful connections with people who understood me in ways I hadn't experienced in a long time. One of the women I met became a close confidant, and our deep conversations reminded me of who I used to be, funny, creative, and full of life. For the first time in ages, I felt like I had a sense of purpose, a reason to get up and do something I truly enjoyed. It was a small but powerful escape from the isolation and sadness that had defined so much of my life. One of the women I've met in this community has become more than just an online acquaintance. She's become a true friend, someone I never expected to find. Her name is Lily, and from the first time we chatted, there was an instant connection. Our conversation started out casual, mostly about table tennis and our favorite players, but they quickly grew deeper. It felt natural to share parts of my life with her, and she was equally open about hers. Lily and I talk about everything, our struggles, our marriages, our dreams, even the things that keep us up at night. She listens without judgment, offering advice when I need it and just being there when I need to vent. What's amazing is that she seems to understand me in ways that others, even people I've known for years, don't. I think it's because she's been through her own share of challenges, and that gives her a perspective that's both comforting and empowering. In many ways, Lily reminds me of the kind of person I used to be. She's funny, insightful, and has this incredible ability to make me feel like I'm not alone in the world. When we talk, I feel lighter, like a weight has been lifted off my chest. She's also incredibly encouraging, always reminding me that I'm stronger than I think. She's the first person in years to make me believe that I have value outside of my struggles, and that's something I didn't realize how much I needed. Through our conversations, I've started to rediscover pieces of myself that I thought were lost forever. I've remembered what it feels like to laugh without forcing it, to share stories and ideas without feeling judged, and to simply enjoy the presence of another person. It's been so long since I've had a friendship like this, a connection that feels genuine and easy, where I can be myself without pretending. Lily has become a lifeline for me, and our friendship is a source of joy I didn't think I'd ever find again. Through her, I've realized that even in the darkest times, it's possible to form meaningful connections and find happiness in unexpected places. But I've kept it all hidden from John. He doesn't see the value in watching sports, calling it unproductive and a waste of time. To him, my hobbies and interests have to serve a clear purpose, something tangible, like self-improvement or intellectual growth. He's always dismissed anything he deems frivolous or pointless. So, when I finally told him a little about my new hobby, I was met with his usual skepticism. I explained that I'd made some online friends who share my love for table tennis, but I didn't go into much detail. At first, he seemed indifferent, but over time, I could tell he was paying closer attention to how much time I was spending online. Then, earlier this week, he asked me to quit. Just like that. No discussion, no compromise, just stop everything. I think he expected me to agree immediately, but when I didn't, he seemed genuinely taken aback. I tried to explain why this hobby, and more importantly, this community, means so much to me. I told him about Lily, how she's the first real connection I've had in years. I described how the group makes me feel like I'm part of something, how it helps me rediscover parts of myself I thought were gone forever. I even tried to put into words how much these friendships have lifted my spirits, giving me moments of genuine happiness in what has otherwise felt like a never-ending fog of sadness. John, however, didn't see it that way. To him, this new hobby is just another distraction, a way for me to avoid the hard work of fixing myself. He's always been critical of how I spend my time, especially if it doesn't align with his idea of productivity. Whether it's watching TV, scrolling through social media, or now engaging with this table tennis community, he sees it all as a way for me to escape reality instead of confronting it head-on. He told me he thinks I'm too addicted to this new interest and that it's just another excuse for me to avoid making real progress in my life. He even suggested that the happiness I'm feeling is superficial, that it's a temporary high masking the deeper issues I need to address. His words cut deep, but I could also sense the frustration behind them. In his mind, he's trying to help me, to push me toward what he believes is a better version of myself. But for once, I don't want to let go of something just because he disapproves. This is the first thing in years that has made me feel alive, like I'm more than the shell of a person I've become. I tried to explain that to him, to make him understand that this isn't about avoiding my problems, it's about finding a small corner of joy in a life that has felt so empty for so long. John, however, didn't seem convinced. He said that if this hobby were truly meaningful, it wouldn't be something I needed to hide from him. He asked why I didn't feel comfortable sharing everything about it from the start, and I didn't have a good answer. The truth is, I knew he wouldn't approve, and I didn't want to face his disapproval. I wanted to keep this one thing for myself, untainted by his judgments. I'm at a loss for what to do. Every time I discover something that brings me genuine happiness, it seems like John steps in and takes it away, framing it as a consequence for not meeting his expectations. I know I've fallen short in many ways, I haven't achieved much, and I've relied on him for years, but this feels different. It doesn't feel fair. This new hobby, this community, and my friendship with Lily, they've given me a sense of purpose I haven't felt in years. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm reconnecting with parts of myself that I thought were gone forever. But John doesn't see it that way. To him, it's just another distraction, another way for me to avoid fixing what's wrong in my life. I feel torn. On one hand, I don't want to lose the joy and connection this hobby has brought me. On the other, I hate the thought of continuing to disappoint John. I know he wants the best for me, but his idea of helping often feels more like control. I can't keep going in circles like this. I need to hear an outside perspective. What should I do?